ground station, and we have now reached more or less 155 kilometers of altitude and a velocity of 7.7 kilometers per second. For this mission, we need to reach the velocity of 9.3 kilometers per second to be on the right orbits.
And we just heard the DDO say that everything was nominal, and we're moving right along. More information now from Astrium regarding the Yahsat 1A. It also was one of its manufacturers.
Astrium is extremely proud to have delivered for launch Yahsat Y1A alongside our partners. It is the first part of the fully integrated satellite communication system, including ground segment, for our customer, the Alia Satellite Communications Company, based in the United Arab Emirates. It is also a great honor to serve the armed forces of the United Arab Emirates with state-of-the-art technology, building on our heritage in complete end-to-end space systems and services for our military customers. The Yahsat satellites are state-of-the-art. They are based on our leading Eurostar 3000 platform. Eurostar satellites today have already achieved an impressive 380 years in orbit. In addition, Astrium, as the prime contractor for Ariane, is delivering today the 57th Ariane 5 launcher to Arianespace. With our expertise and experience in space transportation, satellites and services, unique in Europe, we are proud that all elements of our business are involved in this event. Today, we are looking forward to the start of a new era with the launch of Yahsat Y1A, serving a whole new customer community through a true pioneer, the Alia Satellite Communications Company. Hina, Astrium Hilla, Janibukum, Fikuli, Makane. Shukran.
16:21 after the beautiful liftoff this evening in Nauru. We've been looking at that curve on the left side. We actually were like in a little roller coaster. Were we actually dropping in altitude a bit?
Yes, actually we have decreased a little bit of altitude, and then we can use all our thrust to increase our speed. So this helps to push us towards our final destination, and at that point we will be traveling at 9.3 kilometers per second. So that is really moving.
Yeah, and that really is. That is booking along 10 times speed of a bullet. Time now to hear about Intelsat New Dawn.
Intelsat satellite capacity is fueling the business growth of our customers, who are partnering with us to drive economic development and transform communications in Africa. As a result, Africa has been one of Intelsat's fastest growth regions for the past several years. We are proud of our heritage in bringing highly reliable communications to Africa, a history that began over 40 years ago with the launch of Intelsat 3. But Intelsat New Dawn developed differently than the other 21 satellites serving the continent today. It's the first African private sector communication satellite, a satellite for Africa, by Africa. Intelsat formed a joint venture with a South African investor group, led by Convergence Partners, with debt funding from leading African banking institutions, such as Nedbank. Through this partnership, we have built a satellite that will deliver critical infrastructure, such as wireless backhaul and broadband services. Built by Orbital Sciences Corporation, the C and Ku-band satellite will be fully integrated in our global Intelsat fleet, providing unmatched resilience to our customers. Intelsat New Dawn will be positioned at 32.8 degrees east, providing high power coverage of sub-Saharan Africa. A lot of hard work has gone into making this launch a reality. I would like to thank our dedicated employees, our partners at Arianespace, with whom we have launched 52 satellites, and the manufacturers and engineers at Orbital Sciences for making this remarkable milestone possible. As Intelsat and convergence partners deliver a uniquely African solution for communications infrastructure, we look forward to supporting the continent's economic growth and providing a new dawn for Africa. Thank you very much.
1920 into the mission, and we have been acquired by Libreville. We're approaching the west coast of Africa. We've crossed the Atlantic only about 20 minutes. That takes about 6 hours in a transatlantic jet. One question I've always had, why are we in Kourou, French Guiana, to launch a satellite?
In fact, here in Kourou, we are only 300 miles from the equator. And the closer we are to the equator, the faster the Earth spins. So this is like catapult, and less fuel is needed to reach geostationary transfer orbit, or GTO.
And, of course, that means more fuel for the satellite. More fuel means more lifetime on orbit for the satellite. Everybody wins. Time now to hear more about Intelsat and convergence partners.
Africa today is proud that it is being ranked as one of the fastest growing markets in the world. Other people, they call it the last frontier for growth. We are proud to show that Africa today can demonstrate over 500 million mobile phones in a population of just over 1 billion people. As you know, the history of Africa, we haven't had a strong fixed telecoms infrastructure. We have leapfrogged to get into the mobile environment. Also, on the other side, we have high-speed fiber undersea communications connecting the coasts of both the Atlantic and Indian Ocean. Critical is how do you now connect various parts of Africa to this web of global communications. New Dawn satellite, which is being launched on the 30th of March 2011, is certainly going to provide these communications or this backhaul so that mobile operators can be able to provide backhaul communications to drive this growth of video, of data, of voice in the mobile environment. New Dawn is that satellite that is going to provide full coverage both at Ku band and C band over the African continent. It's going to be able to provide connectivity from the east to the west, north to the south, and be able to provide communications to as many entities that are active in the mobile and in the video and in the telecoms environment in general. Convergence Partners is one of the drivers of communications in the African continent. In undersea fiber, in land, in wireless, in satellite, we are very proud to be part of New Dawn project, and we will continue to work in the satellite environment so as to ensure that African people can have communications into the future.
Just over 22 minutes into the mission, all continues to go extremely well. Earlier, we were all about picking up speed. Now, look, we're climbing the hockey stick. It's all about altitude, and Ariane 5 is rapidly climbing away from Earth. How high do we have to get before we release the satellite?
In fact, geostationary transfer orbit is not circular. At the high point, we call it apogee, it's 36,000 kilometers of altitude, and the lowest point, or perigee, has an altitude of 250 kilometers. So both satellites have their own engine, which will be used to modify their orbit from GTO to a circular one at 36,000 kilometers from the Earth.
Alrighty, and time now to hear from Orbital Sciences, who built the Intelsat.
Star satellites from Orbital Sciences Corporation are the right-sized answer for small to medium GEO communications missions. That's why Star satellites are the small GEOs of choice for leading global satellite operators as well as regional communications providers. Star satellites offer significant economic value to customers as well. The Star bus provides more payload power for each kilogram of launch mass than any satellite in its class. Additionally, Star's low launch mass results in lower launch costs and a broad range of launch vehicle options. And with one of the industry's best delivery records, customers can depend on Orbital to provide reliable, on-schedule performance. Orbital Star satellites are backed by total end-to-end support for the life of the system. Services offered include procurement of launch services, complete ground systems, telemetry and command software systems, technical training, and full-time anomaly resolution support. When you add it all up, orbital star satellites provide the flexibility, the affordability, and the reliability that the world's leading satellite communications service providers demand. Orbital. Innovation you can count on.
And back at Jupiter, the Ariane 5 has now been acquired by the Malindi tracking station in Kenya in Eastern Africa. And we have now crossed the entire African continent.
Well, that was a fast trip across Africa. Everything continues to be fine, the vehicle performing as planned. However, Julian, if that upper stage were to stop working right now, would we make orbit?
Yes, we are already on orbit. We are going so fast and we are so high that we already are turning around the Earth. Now we just need to get to the correct orbit, and we should be there very soon. When the onboard computer determines that we have reached the correct speed and altitude, it will command the engine to shut down.
And that is going to occur should occur in just a moment or two. We await that announcement from the DDO.
Extinction de l'état supérieur cryotechnique sur commande de guidage.
And right on time, the upper stage has shut down. We have now entered the ballistic phase. Are we actually coasting in orbit?
Yes, indeed, ballistic means no propulsion. So the Ariane 5 engines have done their job, and we are now on the geostationary transfer orbit, and we are going 9.3 kilometers per second as planned, and that means we are high enough and fast enough to cruise without the engine.
Now, is this when we begin something that I heard referred to as the space ballet?
Yes, this is a complex set of maneuvers that has now begun. First of all, we must orientate the composite to the correct attitude for the release of Yahsat 1A.
How do we do it?
In fact, there are 12 small thrusters located on both sides of the composite, which allow us to perform any maneuver around the three axes. So these thrusters are powered by hydrogen, and as we are now in space, so the 15 tons of the composite can be controlled by small puffs of pressurized gas.
Well, is that onboard computer we talked about earlier, is that controlling the maneuvers, or someone here in Kourou actually playing with a joystick?
No, there is not anyone. It is that onboard computer which is controlling our operations. At this time, we are just monitoring it from the ground. In reality, it is more than just a typical computer. It's a whole management system. It is very smart. It looks all of the data, evaluates the different options, and always chooses the one that maximizes the success of the mission.
You know, that sounds like that computer they called HAL that was on 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yeah, it's pretty close to it. It knows where it is, where it wants to go, and how to get there. So we call it the Guidance, Navigation and Control System, or GNC.
I call that my wife Tina when she goes into a shopping mall in Green Bay. And again, the first satellite to be released will be Yahsat.
Satellite Yahsat 1A.
Yahsat 1A, and there is the announcement that it has separated, and one half of V-201 has now been completed.
Yes, and Yahsat 1A has now begun its life on orbit.
And that's right. The folks at Yahsat, of course, very happy right now, but it is tradition here at Kourou that everybody refrains from celebrating until both satellites have safely been separated. And we now see officials involved in the Yahsat 1A project. They placed a great deal of trust in Arianespace, allowing us to launch their very first satellite for them.
Yes, and the 6-ton Yahsat 1A satellite combined with the 3-ton Intelsat New Dawn satellite resulted in the largest payload ever launched in GTO by Ariane 5.
6 tons is a big satellite. What is Ariane doing to support the ever-increasing mass of commercial satellites?
In fact, there is a continuous work to increase the Ariane 5 performance to respond to these evolutions. Tonight, for the first time between the satellites, the adapter systems and the supporting structure, we have placed more than 10 metric tons in GTO.
And 10 metric tons is a lot, but heavy lifting is what the Ariane 5 is all about. All goes well. It's time now to hear about the next steps in the life of the newly born Yahsat 1A satellite.